Hey everyone, welcome back. This is episode 96 of At the Coffee Table Podcast. I'm Jason Klink here with my co-host Bob Kahn, and we are slowly encroaching upon 100 episodes, which is pretty awesome. Bob, how are you today?
I am terrific.
Fantastic.
Here's to you at the coffee
Che-
table.
Cheers. There's some water.
Oh, at the coffee table, not the water cooler.
I already coffeed myself out for the day.
By the way, how was New York?
New York was New York was quick.
Yeah, well,
Popped in and popped out.
it's the one city in the world where you can go in
Yep.
and spend 4 hours and feel like you've been there all day and seen a million different things.
It,
Because
it,
you
for
know,
sure, and that kind of segues well into this episode of talking about traveling. So, um, part of the work that I do get to travel on occasion, and um, this week I had a 24-hour trip to New York City. You pop in and you pop out, but I was able. So I like Sweet Greens in Manhattan. I like to get there.
what is it?
It's kind of
I live
well,
here and I don't even know what it
right,
is.
yeah. It's to me, it's like in Syracuse we have Core Life Eateries, so it's similar to that. They have like salad bowls, green bowls, those kind of
Oh,
concoctions. And they
where?
what's
What
that?
street? What street is it on?
Um, God, they're popped all over Manhattan. So they're on God, now you ask me that, and I can't remember what streets they're on. 45th, maybe?
Around in the Broadway area?
Yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I really when I go there I like to, but there's just so much food to choose from in New York City. So much food.
There was this, I don't know how long ago I first heard of it. Excuse me. But it has been said that if you were to go to a different restaurant for all your meals every single day, starting from your birth to your death, you wouldn't hit all the restaurants just in Manhattan.
I believe it.
I
I believe
mean,
it.
my wife was in the city, what's today, Friday? Wednesday. And there was a particular Thai restaurant we usually go to, gone. And then they had a second restaurant like three doors down, gone. And
Oh,
we were there 2 weeks ago and they're gone already.
wow.
So that's why it's constantly changing.
Yeah.
You know, funny story. I think I told you this before. Many, many moons ago, when I was a younger lad, I lived in California, in LA. And we on a Sunday morning, my girlfriend and I wake up and I go, "So what do you want to do today?" I thought she was kidding. She goes, "Why don't we fly to San Francisco for the day?" Okay.
All right.
All right. So we got on the plane. I don't remember what time. All I know is when we got to San Francisco was around about 3 o'clock. We rented a car. We drove to Fisherman's Wharf, hang out there. We hang out there. We hung out there. We went to Ghirardelli Square, I guess it's
All the
called,
old Ghirardelli chocolates.
Ghirardelli chocolates, and then one of the where I lived in LA in the complex. One of my friends was a flight attendant who was part of the Parisian sourdough bread family, and they happened to have a restaurant. So of course I had to go to that restaurant. So we went there, ate a full meal, and I'm talking loaves of bread because it was that good. I said, "What should we do now?" "Well, let's go have a drink." So we drove down to downtown San Francisco, which feels more like uptown everywhere you go.
Yeah.
And we went to the top of the Fairmont. We're sitting there having drinks, and I happened to look out the window and saw whatever I saw. And then when we got it back in the conversation, and I looked to my left and I went, I didn't even realize it was moving. The top of the Fairmont moves.
Right.
So we had sat there, laughed about it, got down. I said, "What do you want to do now?" She goes, "I don't know." I said, "I've never been to Chinatown." Took a trolley, got a San Francisco trolley
Yep.
into Chinatown. Had a full dinner at the Chinese restaurant, and then kind of had enough food for the day. And we got back to the car and we drove down Lombard Street. For those of you who aren't familiar, Lombard Street is the crookedest street in the United States. And we couldn't do it once. We had to do it three times. Now I don't even know if you can go down once. And then we drove to what's called Nob Hill, where there's a tower called Coit Tower. These are all, if you ever kind of look at a guidebook, what to see in San Francisco, these are two of the big places. Went there and then drove to Santa Cruz, all in 4 hours.
That's awesome. There's something to be said about those spur of the moment trips too.
Oh my God. I don't think I could do that again because I can't eat anywhere near I could when I was in my 20s.
Right, right. Yeah, and it's funny because I was just thinking of too when you were talking about the spur of the moment trip. Same thing, New York City. I said to my wife, I'm like, and it was one Christmas season. It was like 2 weeks before Christmas. Like, let's go to the city and take the kids and do the whole Rockefeller Center and all of that, right?
Yep.
So she's like, and she doesn't like surprises, so she's kind of like, okay. So we get in the car and we drive the 3.5 4 hours down to the city, and we get a bite to eat. So we go over to Rockefeller Center. Well, everybody else in the world had the same idea.
They all woke up in the morning and said, let's go.
Yep. So we're there, and the place is mobbed. Now the kids were super little, and the place is like mobbed. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like uncomfortably crowded. And needless to say, we got back in the car and drove back the 3.5 hour, 4 hours back home because we just weren't staying there.
How long were you actually in the city?
Probably 4 hours.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of, having to walk anywhere like this or sideways.
Yeah.
And I always heard about the San Gennaro Festival. You familiar with that? In the fall, they have it's dedicated to Saint Gennaro,
Hmm.
San Gennaro. And I mean, the food is phenomenal. It's in Little Italy
Yeah.
in downtown. But it wasn't fun for me because you really couldn't, if you stop, somebody's knocking you out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and then there was a point to this. Never mind.
No,
This is
that point
happening
kept
more and
going.
more. I think I'm going to reverse the clock because it's starting to happen. I don't know. My mind goes south when we do this.
Ginkgo biloba,
Maybe,
maybe.
maybe. Oh, I remember. So then didn't go into big crowds anymore. And then I had kids. And of course, you want to show the tree,
Yep.
because we would watch it light up.
Yep.
It used to be local, now it's national.
Right.
So of course, could we go see the tree? So we went to see the tree, and as long as you stayed on the what was the RCA building, now it's GE or whoever owns it now, on that part, it's not too bad. You can see the giant ornaments and everything, but if you go around to the front and enter towards the skating rink that's there, where they have the statue and everything, it's ridiculous. My kids, I literally had to carry them because I thought I'd lose them.
Oh yeah.
We did it once and we swore we're never doing this again.
Yep.
Following year, same thing. And finally, we just said, this is crazy. Kids, when you grow up, go see the tree.
Yeah.
We haven't
Right.
been
Do it on
back
your own.
since. I mean, we've seen it because, you go to the city enough that you go to a show, whatever, and you kind of go past, you go, oh, we'll know what it looks like, this year. But travel for me and my wife and my kids travel a lot more than we do now. I mean, my daughter seems to be flying everywhere. In
Yeah.
the last 2 months, she's been to California, Memphis twice, and I forgot where else she's been because she's a composer, she's a singer, dancer,
Yep.
keyboard player, and she's in a band called Too Much Molly. If you're in the Chicagoland area, they're at Nellie's on Wednesday night at 10 a.m. Plug, plug, plug.
10 a.m. They're there
But
early.
10 p.m. Thank you. 10, very early, 10 p.m. So start your Thanksgiving off rocking because they
There you
are a
go.
phenomenal band. And if you don't dance to their music, you don't know how to dance.
There you go. What do you think in all your years and where you've traveled to is probably your top destination?
Ooh. One of my favorite places is Bangkok, Thailand. And
Really?
I went there compliments of the U.S. Army.
Oh, well.
Yeah, and there's a quick story behind that. I was stationed at Fort Benning, Georgia, in a evac hospital, second evacuation hospital, and we had been in Germany for a year, and then they brought us all home. And I'm sitting in the barracks one day, and the sergeant walks in and goes, "Okay, if I call your name, come over here." And he called out 30 names, of which mine was one of them. There were 25 people, or 26, being sent to Vietnam. And then, by the way, folks, that was during the Vietnam War,
I was going to say World War One or World War Two.
The Civil War.
Right, right.
And so that was in 1968. No, 1969, January 69. Two were being sent to Korea. Two were being sent to back to Germany, and I was being sent to Tokyo, Japan. And I was like, okay. And then about a week later, I get it was changed. I was being sent to Thailand. I went, Thailand? And it was funny because a year before, when I was home on leave, my friend said, we're going to Thailand next year. Well, they never went, but I did.
Oh,
Compliments
wow.
of Uncle Sam,
Right.
right? So you're supposed to get 30 days leave a year. So I was in the army for less than 3 years, but I had like 120 days leave. Don't ask me how I pulled this off. I don't even know. So I went home on leave, told my friends. They were all jealous. I get on a plane. We fly to San Francisco, and they pick us up and they take us to Oakland Army Terminal. And one of my friends was in charge of all the people coming in and sending them where they have to send, and also if they had guard duty. Well, not me. We had a ball. We were there
Uh-huh.
2 days. We get on the plane. We fly from the Air Force Base. I think it's Travis. Don't hold me to names. We fly to Anchorage, Alaska, and from there we take off. Now we're going to Tokyo first, to the Air Force Base there. And on the way, somehow they managed to blow out something, the tire, something. So we're sitting in the terminal, packed at this Air Force Base outside of Tokyo, asking them if we can go to Tokyo. Oh no, you're not even close to Tokyo. We're out in the countryside. They lied. We were at the gate. The gate was like the Ginza.
Right.
So we're there 9 hours. They fed us, yippee dippy.
Yep.
So now we fly. It's like I don't even know what it was. It was after midnight. We fly. We go. In order to get to Thailand the fastest way, you have to fly across Vietnam. What was going on in Vietnam in 1969? Ba boom, ba boom, bang, bang. Right.
Right.
I'm sitting in the window and we're flying, and I happen to look out now. They say, "Oh, by the way, folks, we're now over Vietnam." So I look out the window and I see fireworks. I went, "Hey, that's pretty cool, fireworks." The guy sitting next to me had been in combat there. And he goes, "What are you talking about?" He leans over, looks down, and goes, "You're an idiot." I go, "Why?" Because they're shooting at us.
Oh, enjoy your flight.
Well, I got combat pay for that one.
Yeah,
We
right.
land in Bangkok. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. Now, I don't know if you've ever traveled to a different country where it was so completely different than anything you ever saw, anything you ever smelled. When the door opened, it's like 100 degrees. We're in air conditioning. The door opens, you hear whoosh. The door opens, and this smell
Uh,
and heat come flying in. And it was like, oh, what the hell is that? Now we get outside. It didn't take long to get used to it, but it was kind of the smell of garbage. At least that's what it smelled like.
yeah.
And then they put us on a bus and they take us to a 5-star hotel. And I'm pinching myself. I'm going, this can't be the Army.
You're right.
Called the Prince Hotel. They fed us. They give us an orientation. All of a sudden, the guy I met on the plane, we became friends. We're on a bus going to a town called Karat, to the U.S. Army, U.S. Air Force, Thai Air Force. They had the Army base, Thai Army, and an Air Force base. And I'm like, I, I don't want to do. I want to stay in Bangkok, right?
Yeah. Right.
We get up there, and former President Eisenhower had the good sense to die while we were mid-flight, so we had Monday off. This was like a Friday into a Saturday, so we had Saturday, Sunday, Monday off. This is the Army. This doesn't happen.
Right.
What we do? We were swimming, we were playing, we were drinking. By the way, if it's 100 degrees out and it's 100% humidity and no rain, don't drink booze
Uh,
because you'll sweat like a pig. Anyway, so the next day they're you report for duty. So I report for duty, and I walk in, Sergeant. My name is reporting for duty. Here's my orders, and he goes, I don't know what to do with you. Excuse me? Yeah, I'm going to give you a choice. I went, whoa, 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 whoa. What did you just? This is the
Right.
Army. Nobody gets a choice. It's
Nobody gets a choice.
do or go to jail.
Right.
He goes, you could stay here, or you could go to Bangkok. Gee, I don't know. I'm going to Bangkok,
Yeah.
right? I don't even know what I'm getting into, but I don't want to stay here. This is like real Army.
Yeah.
There's no Army bases in the middle of Bangkok, Thailand. So now remember, there's a war going on. What do I know about war?
What war?
Well,
Yeah.
we take a walk, a friend of mine, take a walk over to the Air Force base. We're in the Army, so they didn't stop us. And we're kind of hanging out, smoking cigarettes. Hadn't discovered the joys of Thai pot yet.
Yeah.
And this was the takeoff strip and landing strip for our jets, right? We saw this jet take off. This is all in like 3 days. See the jet take off. We waved to the pilot and the co-pilot. And the round trip to Vietnam, to wherever they're going to bomb or whatever they're going to do and come back is about an hour. And we're hanging out. Jets are taking off and landing, taking off. And we see the jet coming around. We recognize the tail numbers. Well, when they landed funky, and the blood inside the canopy.
Oh
Like,
no.
that's when we realized this fucking war is real.
Right.
I don't know who was dead. Obviously, one of those two, but not the. So, remember how I got there? By a bus.
Yeah.
Well, it's one lane either way, and they don't care. If they're going to pass somebody, they're going, and they drive like the English on the left side, and they're passing jet fuel trucks, and we're like, right? So this fantasy continues. So we go in, I get my orders from the sergeant. I say goodbye to one of my friends that I made. And Sergeant says, good luck. By the way, I have like 6 months left. I have about 7 months left in the Army. They put us on a C-130. They fly me to Bangkok.
Oh.
And I made my new friend, his name was Bob Ammerman. He's redheaded kid, and that there's a lot more. We'll tell stories later on about that. But we fly down to Bangkok, and we're told to go to the Princess Hotel, but there was no room at the inn.
Oh.
Okay. So they said, but here, you can go to this place. It was called the Windsor Hotel. Now, Princess was like, I don't even know where in Bangkok anymore. The Windsor Hotel was off the main drag called Sukhumvit Road, which is kind of like Broadway.
Yeah.
New York.
Yep.
If there's such a thing as a 6 or 7-star hotel, this was it.
Nice.
Swimming pool, 2 clubs, like booze and clubs.
Yep.
A PX, a commissary, and we're on the 5th floor with maid service. We don't even have to polish or iron our suits and shoes. And we're like, holy crap. Gets better. He goes up and so This was over the weekend. So Monday morning, I go to report to my new location. Turns out that it was the 651st Medical Brigade. In other words, I worked for the ambassador, not the army.
Ah,
And I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. I walk up and there was a captain walking. I salute him. He starts yelling at me for saluting him. And I'm going, I must be in the wrong place, you know. And then he goes, we don't salute around here. By the way, my name is, I'll say Joe, whatever.
yeah, yeah.
I go inside and I meet the first sergeant. And Specialist Fourth Class Robert Kahn reporting for duty, sir. He goes, who are you? I go, well, here are my orders. Yeah, but I didn't know you were coming. What are you doing here? I don't know.
Hell if I
And
know.
the guy, you know who Jackie, the comedian, fat guy, who had a really funny laugh,
Oh yeah, yeah. Yep,
almost like Harry Carey of the Cubs, right?
yep.
And he starts laughing. He goes, "Well, what are you a specialist in?" And I went medical records. Perfect. Go see. And he sends me out to meet this lovely woman who was in charge of all the locals working there. And he goes, she'll tell you what to do. You want to hear my job?
Yeah, sure.
Every morning I would come in. We were supposed to be there by 8, and I'd get there about, and you got there any way you could, by
Right.
bus, by you didn't walk, it didn't matter, right? Between 8 and 8:30, I'm sitting there talking, drinking coffee. At 8:30, I stroll to my desk, and there's a pile of medical records. My job, I still haven't figured this part out, was to take it from this pile, go like this, and see if there's anything missing, and put it in this pile. Then one of the locals would take it and file it. That took half an hour. The rest of the morning, I would go touring. I'd go talk to my friends in the lab, talk to my, and then they did the dumbest thing, I think, what I loved. They gave me a Jeep because I had to run an errand. They said, okay, this is assigned to you. You're giving me a Jeep? So around 11 o'clock, I'd take off in the Jeep. Sometimes a friend would come with me and we'd go cross town to the big commissary, the big PX. And around 12, we'd show up at the Windsor Hotel for lunch. Don't cost nothing. And this gorgeous dining room. I mean, this is like, I can't believe it. And then on the second day, they said, you only have 6 months left. Are you interested in re-enlisting? And I looked at them like, I said, Sarge, this place is gorgeous, but I had enough army. Because, unless you're in combat, it's really Mickey Mouse, right?
And who knows where you would ended up if you're re-upped again.
Right. Well, I would have you up. You could have said, I want to stay here for 3 years, and they would have kept it because I'm already, once you're in a combat, in a theater of operations, in
Yeah,
this case, the Vietnam theater, they
yeah.
can't move you around.
Oh, okay.
All right. And now I hadn't met any reason to stay, so I applied for early out for school. So instead of staying from like March to December, I stayed until September. You know, and let me tell you something. Imagine your job is to just have fun at Disney World. That's what it felt like.
Wow.
Getting up, no problem. We rented out. Someday I'll have to show you the pictures. I had the hotel. It cost me $5 a month, and that was for the maid service.
Ah,
Took it out of you, right? So two other friends that we met in San Francisco, we all got together and we rented an unbelievable house. Everything was teak wood and marble. It cost us, I like $50 each. So of course, we're not gonna do shit for ourselves. So we went and we found a maid. She was so good that I remember I got home. Now it's obviously, I told you, it's boiling hot there.
yeah.
It's hot. You get used to, but you still sweat like a pig. I'd come home, my uniform would be soaked through. And then I put it in a pile on the floor, put my underwear on the floor, take out whatever I was going to wear when I after off duty, and I go take a shower. And I come back, everything's gone. The new underwear, everything's gone. So I get dressed and I go downstairs, and I don't remember her name, but I said, well, "What happened to my clothes?" I washi. I go, "They were clean." Oh,
She must not have thought they were.
I mean, it was just, my
That's
friends ended
amazing.
up with girlfriends. In fact, one of the maids became my friend's Reese's girlfriend, so we had to get a new maid. You know, I mean, it kept unfolding. I'm saying, why am I leaving?
Are you
This
right?
place is amazing, right? The commanding officer was in charge of the officers club. You think we ate well?
Oh, yeah.
If we had a party, we were eating Chateaubriand, top wines and booze. I'm telling you, it was like living. It was like a kid in Disneyland who didn't have to do anything but have fun. I
That's,
recommend it. I
it's
recommend
funny.
it.
I was thinking of my own personal story. It doesn't even remotely compare to that. But, and I've never been, believe it or not, I've never been outside of the U.S. except for Canada.
Really?
And when I was a young man and I was working for Department of Defense as a firefighter, I was down in Virginia, and they there was a base in Italy, and it was like an Italian nationals type military base, but the U.S. took it over, and they needed federal employees, including firefighters, to staff this base. So they put out, a job posting for a firefighter in this area of Italy, and it was a 3-year commitment. So even as a civilian, it was a 3-year commitment,
Wow.
and at the time they said it once you go over, you would come back at two grades higher than
So
what
you'd
you
be a
were currently.
GS, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah. So essentially, I'd go over as a firefighter, and I'd come back as like a captain in the fire department, right? So I'm like,
Plus
this
you
is
get
super cool,
paid. Plus you're in Italy.
right? And plus, you get 30 days leave every year to come back, and they'd fly you back.
Or travel the U.S. or whatever, the
Yeah.
Europe or whatever. Yeah.
So, so I had I was really young. I don't know. I can't remember. I don't think my daughter was born yet. So it was me and my first wife. And I'm talking to her. I'm like, I'd love to do this. This is a hell of an opportunity. We should go spend some time and go live and work. And she's like, I don't know. So I told her everything that went, and she was like, okay, maybe we'll give it a shot. So then the information about the compensation got funny. So we were like, we kind of pulled the reins back a little bit. What's going on here? Well, then they came through with it, but at that point, it gave my first wife a long enough time to talk herself out of it. So now we weren't going. So I'm like, ah, crap. Well, a guy that I worked with that I became friends with, he took the offer. So I mean, he grew up an Air Force brat, so he was fine with traveling all over and whatever.
Right.
So he goes overseas. That following New Year's Eve, he calls the firehouse, and I talked to him. He goes, "Hey, guess where I am?" I go, "I don't know where." He goes, "Paris." I'm like, "You suck," and I hung up the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. My father told me a couple of stories. He in the early 1950s, he was offered stock in an up and coming company that was going to produce instant photographs. The
Hmm.
company,
Yeah.
Polaroid.
Yep. Yep.
It was like $1 a share.
Yeah.
My father went, who's gives a shit about instant photographs? And he could have bought 1,000 shares,
Right.
right, for $100 and been retired by the end of the decade. And he every once in a while he'd go, sometimes I really, and he wouldn't finish the sentence. When opportunity knocks, we have a tendency, depending on how we were raised,
Yep.
to avoid it.
Yes, because
Instead
uncomfortable.
of saying yes to every opportunity, going into it, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. You know,
Yep.
I I remember There was in my company in I think it was either basic training or AIT, advanced infantry training. Um, they there was only a few of us that had some college or college,
Right.
and we were invited to go talk to these folks. Had no idea why. Turns out they were G2 intelligence,
Oh.
and they were looking for 6 people to go to Saudi Arabia.
Oh.
Now, this is 1965, 66 maybe. And and there was about 12 of us, and the top 6 we were. But they called us all in, sat us down, and said, "Gentlemen, it was with deep regret that we cannot send you."
Oh.
And we go, "Why?" "Because you're Jewish." I go, "What is that?"
What?
And then I went, "What does that have to?" And all of a sudden we went, "Well,
Oh yeah.
where was this place we were going to?" And they went, "Saudi Arabia." I went, "Yeah, I can see that. I
Yeah.
can see why."
Yeah. Yeah.
you
It's
know,
and it's funny you were talking about opportunity and such, and um, I've been of the mindset here in the last couple of years of you know of having more experiences and taking more trips and traveling more and experiencing more of the country, more of the world. Uh, we were my wife's family and us we were talking about a European trip, just to experience like Italy and so on. And I even said last year, like Christmas time, I said I'd rather do less gifts and take a vacation from December 26th to January 2nd, and just go experience someplace.
well, I would suggest warmth unless you're really into cold because Europe
Right.
ain't that warm that time of
Yeah.
year.
Well, yeah. Not necessarily Europe. Like I was talking
Maybe
last
southern
year.
Italy,
Well,
Morocco, perhaps.
like last year, we had eventually gone to Key West, Florida, and
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that.
yeah.
That was
So
fun.
I had talked about it from after Christmas to after New Year's, but it like financially it was astronomical. So we pushed it back to February. Man, Key West, the Florida Keys, such a cool tropical place without leaving the country.
Oh, I've been there. I've only been there at night. My friends, my senior year of college, 6 of us decided to drive to the Keys for Christmas break or holiday break, whatever you want to call it, winter break.
Yep.
And my friend had a VW. I mean, we were the ultimate hippie. It was a VW minivan,
Yeah.
and there's 6 hippies sitting in it, and we drove down. And there was 2 couples, my friend and myself. We were single. Now you got to picture my friend. You think you're thin? See, he was like your finger, right?
Right. Right.
So, so we drive down. We get about roughly 4 hours. We're in Virginia, and then we see up ahead. It's a Hawaiian Chinese restaurant. We're hungry. So, I love Chinese food, right? Oh, your mic went out.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
coughing, so I
Oh,
figured I wouldn't do
you
that
do
in your ear.
that. The public would love that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
you know.
um, it was one of those 14 course meals, you know,
Oh.
and we were probably high as a kite anyway.
Oh,
But
jeez.
we're in the car 2 hours later, and we're all going, "Oh, I cannot believe I ate all that food." Oh, my friend, I think his name was Alan, turns to me and goes, "Are you hungry?" "I'm starved." "Hey, anybody hungry?" And we're like, "Are you nuts?" This was just the beginning. So we go through a bunch of trials and tribulations. We finally get to the Keys. We stopped in Sarasota to see my friend Dave's parents, and we stopped in Miami to see my friend Mark, and we ended up in Summerland Key, 24 miles north of Key West.
Yep.
If he wasn't sleeping, Alan was eating.
No.
And I go, "You have a tapeworm or something?" He goes, "No, if I don't eat, I lose weight." I went, "Yeah, I wish I had that problem."
Right.
I brought, so this is 1973. I probably bought $100, $125 with me. He brought 500. And I swear to you, the vast majority went to food. When we went to Disneyland, we had a pretzel, maybe we had a Coke. He ate around where most people go to rides. He ate around Disney World.
It's funny you said that because when I took my kids to to Disney World, um, we did Epcot and the how they have around the world there. So we
Yep.
were with friends of ours and their family, and their kids were little at the time. And my buddy and I look at each other, and goes, "We should have a beer at every country." Now, remember what you said about being hot and humid? You really shouldn't drink.
Hmm.
I think we made it through 3 or 4 countries, and I was obliterated.
You're a
And
lightweight.
oh
You're a
my God,
lightweight. On our honeymoon, we went to on a cruise into Disney World, and Epcot had just opened, but it wasn't finished.
yeah.
Now I don't know how many countries. If you start on the right and you go around the loop, how many countries there are? We had a beer in every one. I to this day I don't know how we stood up,
Yeah,
but we had a beer in every one.
yeah,
Ate a couple of times just to make sure,
right.
but that was fun.
Yeah,
Epcot's
yeah,
fun.
yeah. It is
Epcot's
fun.
fun.
Yeah,
You
it's funny
know,
because we're drinking, and all of a sudden we get to Germany. I'm like, oh, I'm going to eat some bratwurst because I need to eat something.
absolutely. Yeah. So, is there any place in the world specifically that you would like to go to?
So yes, in my, we'll call it a bucket list. I want to go to England and Ireland. I want to go to Germany, France, and Italy. I'd love to go to Curacao in the Caribbean. I'd love to go to Roatan off of Honduras.
Hmm.
And if there's all the moons and stars aligned and it was possible, I'd definitely go to Fiji.
Ooh,
Yep.
nice. Yeah, no, I would. I've been to Sweden, but I was in Malmo. I'd like to go to as my father called them, the northern countries. I love Denmark. I'd like to show my wife Denmark. I want to go to the Middle East
Mm,
later,
yeah.
but I want to go to India. I want to see the Taj Mahal,
No.
the Ganges,
Yep.
and I was watching documentary. There's a lake, I guess it is, somewhere in the middle of India where you live on boats in the middle
Oh.
of the lake and the food comes to you.
Oh. Oh.
I said, that looks interesting. I
Yeah.
like that. I would love to go to Tahiti in the
Oh.
Fijis,
Yeah.
you know. And then the one thing that we talked about, which I don't know if we're ever going to do it, is to rent an RV, like a, and go to every single Major League Baseball stadium in one
Oh yes.
season.
Yeah, that would be
You
awesome.
know, um, I would say follow the Yankees, but I'm not going jing 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 like the
Yeah.
Yankee
Right.
schedule.
Yeah.
But and buy a hat from every stadium that I don't have a hat for. It would be very hard pressed to buy a Red Sox hat, but I would do it. I just wouldn't
I.
wear it.
Yeah.
I just wouldn't, and
Yep.
certainly wouldn't wear an Astros hat. But I'd like to go see the Astros, whatever
I.
their park's called.
I have been to Minute Maid Park, believe it or not.
Oh, have you?
Yeah, I have friends. I have friends that live in Houston, and years ago, again, my first wife and I took a trip down there to visit our friends, and at the time, the Dodgers were playing the Astros, and Joe Torre was managing the Dodgers with
Oh,
Don
okay.
Mattingly. So we went to. It's a beautiful park. I mean, real grand scheme of things, it's on the smaller side, but it's a beautiful park right in downtown Houston.
Yeah, I think it's different. I just don't like the fact that this Astros play there.
Right, right.
You know, there were two um parks that I just that are the top of the line on the bucket list. I've already gone to Wrigley, and
Oh
you
yeah,
haven't experienced baseball till you've been to Wrigley Field to watch a
yeah.
game because
I'm
that's
sure.
baseball
Yeah.
now. And the other one was Fenway,
Yep.
or as I call it, Futzway. But I want to see, preferably not the Yankees and the Red Sox, because I don't need the aggravation because I'll wear my hat and
Yeah.
you know. But but I'd like to see some of the other stadiums. Camden Yards, I've seen from the outside in the middle of winter,
It's a nice park. I've been
and
in there too.
I just I always like the Orioles, and I like their park.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. Um, and every time, if I'm watching a documentary or something, I go, I want to go there. I want to go there.
Go
I
there,
want to
right?
go there. I want to
Yep.
go there.
Yep.
I would like to see South America. I would love to go to Machu Picchu, and they just discovered another one similar to Machu Picchu in another part of the Andes.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think I would do Costa Rica.
I'd
I
like
think
to
I would.
see that. I'd like to see, you know, Rotan because it
Yep.
just has a great name.
Yeah.
I've
Do you
been
know
to
if
Aruba. I've been to Aruba. I'd love to see Curacao and what's the other one? I forgot the name of it. This Aruba, Curacao, the Dutch West East Indies. It's called.
the Saint Islands?
I don't know if it's St. Helens. No, maybe, but it's Aruba, Curacao, and Trinidad.
Oh,
Trinidad
Trinidad.
Tobago.
Yeah.
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 So yeah, I'm a young kid.
Yeah, you got
I
plenty of
got
time.
time. I
Plenty
got
of time.
time. We're
That's
hitting
awesome.
41 minutes. That's the longest one yet.
Yeah. I think
Wow.
it's good place to wrap up too.
I,
And
People have already left. What are you talking about?
they've already walked out the door. And the funny thing is like we had talked about the topic for today, and this just seemed like something fun to do and something
Yeah.
fun to talk about. And that's why, we brought it up today because we both have done a little bit of traveling. Bob, obviously more than I, but um, we'd love to hear about if you're watching it live or if you're watching the recording later. Let us know some of the cool places you may have traveled to and some of the things you might have seen. We'd love to read it and
Definitely.
see where people have been. With that, if if you want to reach out to us, you can find us all over the social media platforms, but especially on Instagram. Please like, comment, and share this podcast. The only way we're going to get any traction and build this community is if we get some participation from our listeners and viewers. But we appreciate everybody taking the time to join us today. Just talking about a little bit of travel. And Bob, as always,
Okay. Be nice, stay safe, and laugh a lot. Next time we talk will be after, let's try that again, after Thanksgiving. So have a
yep.
wonderful, happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Yeah,
You
happy
too.
holiday,
You
everybody.
too.
Same to you.
Okay.
Happy Thanksgiving. All right, everyone. Take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and have a great day.
Take care.